Welcome to another episode of the 100% podcast with me, your host, Harry Purdy. And today, the show is on tour. It's on the road. I'm in Loughborough, which is just outside of Leicester, right?
Yeah.
With a brand new guest. I'll send the best, or the posh end. I'm here with a brand new guest. Dean Maden is an ex-strongman. He is a business coach, a strongman coach, and a gym owner. And we are just to the outside of his gym right now. I've walked in, I've nicked all his fucking drinks from the fridge and sat down and started to record a podcast with him. How are you, mate? Welcome to the show.
No, mate, love it. To be fair, unless I knew you, I thought you'd have been a bailiff or something. You walked in, just fucking like, you own the place.
Took all your assets.
I'll have all this, I'll do this, I'll do it. Okay,
can't pay, I'm going to take it away.
I like to be dominated.
There you go.
But yeah, it's, mate, thanks for coming over first of all, because I know you've had a good trek.
Yeah, a bit of a trek.
And yeah, I look forward to digging into stuff for you.
Yeah, no, and I'm looking forward to digging as well. And I think what's amazing in terms of your intro there's like 4 different assets to what you offer as a coach and where you've been in your life and what you've done. And I know there's like some darker sides to that as well, which we'll touch on today. But behind you, I see all of your strongman trophies from back in the day. How long ago was that?
To be honest, it was only a year and a half, year ago.
I say back in the day,
Yeah.
not that long.
No, I mean, you know what? But I've done so much over my life of all different sports, and I'm happy to share some bits with you today of discovering why I did all this. But I've done lots of different things, and it feels like I've done strongman all my life, and I actually haven't.
Right.
Do you know what I'm saying? But I've trained and I've trained to an extreme all my life, and then it was 2019 when I decided to go into strongman.
Wow.
And I actually went on the pro route straight away. Once I'd done a friendly comp. And then I said I was going to get to World's Strongest Man, and I did.
Yeah,
so,
wow.
Do you know what I mean? It went quite quick for me, but I've also respectively got years of training behind me.
Yeah.
Which sounds the better thing to do, but when you're young, not taking the route I took, but if you was a young person taking that route, it wouldn't be that easy. Do you know what I'm saying? I'm not saying it was easy, but they wouldn't have got so far so quick. But because I got quite far quite quick, I was like, "Fuck, I'm good at this. Let's carry it on." But then and then it was like I did it until last year. So it doesn't feel it feels longer than I actually did it, the strongman stuff.
When you say you've trained to extreme all your life, what do you mean by that?
Well, really, it's like when I was young, I used to. I'm trying to think to my earliest thing now, but I was always doing something at a high level, and I found out later on in my life why, I guess. But I was always wanting to be the best or do the best thing or the more extreme thing. I mean, I used to run for the county when I was young, doing hurdles. Don't know if you could see me in some shorts right now.
Nice bit of lycra.
Yeah, I had lime green spikes as well, so everyone everyone used to know me for the lime green spikes.
Can't imagine you jumping over hurdles these days.
No, I'd probably run through them,
smash them apart,
get caught on a couple and end up on the floor. But yeah, no, do you know what though? Back then, I used to love it because it's that feeling of like that, just that buzz of like just winning. Cause you know what I mean? I was winning that shit, and it was just amazing. And, like sprint against people, and then I went into football. I think most young lads thought they were going to be a professional footballer at some point in their life, or rugby, one of the two. But I went into then I played county level there. Then I went to Derby County. I then played for them for a season, and then got dropped because I wasn't tall enough.
Oh.
So yeah. So like, but I was a goalkeeper, and years ago you probably know like it was all about how tall you are, wasn't it? Really?
Yeah.
I mean, it's ridiculous because you could probably get them sued for that now.
Yeah. So
you could sue them for that because that's discrimination.
Well, yeah, height discrimination. Yeah, and in terms of that reality check, then when you obviously wanted to go and perform at your best with regards to the football, when you had that setback of not making it into Derby, where did you go from there? How did it affect you as a child?
To be honest, I didn't know until later on in life, but it did affect me a lot.
Yeah.
Because I literally went off the rails, if you want to say that, at that age off the rails anyway. What was I, like 15, 16? But yeah, I then started just going out around town drinking and doing that sort of life. It was, again, I wouldn't have known this at the time, but I know it now, I reflect and look back at it, but it was something where I guess, at the time, that's what I wanted to do, and because it got took away from me, I then went into the route of what everyone else did around my area. Like I was brought up in an area that's quite, I'd say it's a rough area if you want to just put it like that. Do you know what I'm saying? It's, council estate sort of thing. Shelthorpe Road, Shelthorpe is in an area is rough. They're the type of people that you walk around the streets, and if you don't fight someone, you're going to get bullied. So, do you know what I mean? And it's shit when I look back, but that's sort of like the people that was around. So yeah, and I just didn't want to be beat up, so I used to beat people up. But you know, it's not something to be proud of, and it's not even funny.
Yeah.
But the point is that mentality back then was actually, it was a dog eat. Do you know what I mean? It's mate, and you know, it's mad when you think, because it's just kids' lives.
Oh
it's
yeah.
It's just kiddie shit, but actually that's the first part of how I got brought up. Do you know what I'm trying to say? Which actually then set me on a track of thinking that that's how you had to be in life.
Yeah, and almost being on the defensive without really realising you were, I guess.
Yeah, no, definitely, yeah. But then it got me into a lot of trouble as well, because the guys around me, a lot of them used to do crime in different ways, and I wasn't into, I don't know, nicking cars or burning things, but then I used to fight a lot, and then I used to get a buzz out of fighting, and then, do you know what I mean? It was like a bit of a thing, and then I used to go around town and have fights, and that was part of me, which it just, you know, if I look back, it's not something I'm ever proud of or really ever would want. I've got 2 kids. Do you know what I mean? I don't want them. If I ever seen them going through that, I'd be like, pull them away. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure. In terms of that element, though, of the buzz that you got from fighting, I think when you look at it from a mindset point of view, and like what Paul, one of our mentors, speaks about, is that getting addicted to that feeling at a weekend. So it could be that you're addicted to the booze at the weekend, and then because of your environment, that means that your mates are a bit scrappy, so you end up in those scraps. And then on the flip side, it can mean that your mates actually like taking a couple of pills or getting on the bag at the weekend, and all free, like all in a pot, you know what I mean? And then you can quite quickly see how people do end up living for the weekend, because in the middle, the life is quite monotonous.
Yeah.
Like you say, a rough end of town, not too much going on other than, right, lads, let's go out and get fucked up this weekend. And unfortunately, in your case, it turned out to be like a violent way of doing it, but also, in the same breath, probably gave you quite a few life lessons.
Yeah, definitely did. I didn't realise, obviously, till you're older, you don't realise these things, but I'm a very extreme person. So then when it put that with me, I did that to the extreme as well. Yeah. Do you know what I'm saying? You know, it's not something that I like to sort of think about too much, because there's a lot of things that I guess fucked up on early in life. But the flip side of that, it's made me who I am today.
Yeah, of course.
You know, it has its benefits.
Let's talk about them traits then. Like the ones that you had back in the day that you've still kept and you still utilise, the traits of yourself, and the traits that you maybe have had to relinquish and let go of a little bit and replace them with something else. So like what are the things that have grown the most with you when you think about Dean back then to Dean now?
I guess I've always had and I always call it a superpower, because I've always felt like it is a genuine power that I've got. I've always got that thing of just never giving up regardless of what's in front. So that's something I've always kept with me, to know that I won't give up on what I focus on. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's something that I've been able to really utilise in everything I've done. You know, I always like that thought of locking onto something, and when you've locked onto it, whatever comes in the way doesn't matter, because you're still locked onto that.
Monk mode.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And you're just solely focused on what you've committed to. It's just that obviously over the years, there's a lot of things that have knocked me back in different ways that you have to learn how to get back up from. Do you know what I'm saying? Because the same things don't knock you back, right?
Yeah, exactly. Oh, they're always different. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So when you're building your resilience on all these things that happen, and then something completely new knocks you back, you've just got to remember that it's new, so I don't know how to deal with this, and you know. But I always, that's why I reach out to people a lot, and that's why I'm a massive fan in mentoring and, you know, therapy and different things, because at the end of the day, we never know enough.
Yeah.
And as well, because we all have, but when you've been brought up in such a way, because we all have our own ways of being brought up, right? We've been brought up by our surroundings. You only know what you've been taught.
Yeah,
So it's like, well, why then suffer with what you've been taught when there's so many other things to learn? I forgot the question now, but
yeah, the traits. So you're on the right tracks. It's the traits that you've kind of had to let go of from when you were younger, to the ones that you've actually kept hold of. So you were saying that the one that you're actually a big fan of within yourself is the fact that you lock onto something. What about something that you've maybe had to? Yeah.
More, a lot of it's like the aggression and anger. Like I had a lot of anger and aggression from a young age, where it came from my childhood of not feeling like I was heard, and I've done a lot of work on it with different therapy and stuff. But when I was growing up, I was always very angry, and I always seen the angry side of things before the good.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
And it could be, and again, it's not things I'm proud of, but I like to be honest, because at the end of the day, people learn from hearing these stories, right?
Of course.
But it's like if someone was to trip me up by accident. It doesn't sound like an accident, but you know what I'm saying, like.
Kick your back leg off.
I mean, that wasn't an accident. But you know what I'm saying? Like, if someone was to cross my path, I would automatically go, "You've just done that on purpose." Do you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, yeah.
But that's how I was. That's how it's as if that's how I was ingrained to think.
It's like that activation of that, without obviously I'm not being detrimental towards you here, but it's that activation of that chimp brain, like straight away, bang.
Yeah. That's it. But that is literally it. And I was always seeing things for the negative and the childish way of looking at things as opposed to the logic.
Yeah.
And no, you're right. But it's something that I didn't realise for years and years and years, and I've worked on it a lot now because everybody means well to everybody, really. They're just that people are having bad days and sometimes things happen wrong. But when I learned to sort of get rid of that anger, my life becomes so much better because I was able to then have more friends, have more good times. Do you know what I'm saying? And live a less stressed life.
Yeah, and that energy shift must have been a huge reality check for you in some respects.
Yeah. A lot of mine was dealing with what they were, though. Dealing with why I felt like that.
Yeah.
That's why I studied the mind for years now, and I enjoy to study the mind because there's so much more we can still learn about ourselves.
The infinite possibilities of what we can think and what we can do with our own thoughts. And I was listening to Peter Sage's book on the way up here, actually, almost reinvigorating that information that he gave us at one of the quarterlies a year ago or whatever. But I think it's Einstein. He was like, is the life you're living a hostile life or is it a friendly life?
Yeah.
And you can quite, in my head, I'm imagining you going from that place of like thinking your life actually at a time when it probably was quite hostile at times when you think about it, to then actually going, hold on a minute, like these things that I'm imagining are hostile towards me aren't. It's actually friendlier than what I think it is.
Yeah. No, I agree. Yeah. It's that perspective, isn't it, of how you see the thing.
Yeah.
I think I might have even said this to you a while ago, but something one of my mentors taught me was, he focused on obviously around the mind and neuralistic programming, NLP. He was saying about like the perspective of what people see. That thought of like everybody everybody watching a football match. I think you like football, don't you?
Love football, yeah.
I hate
talk
it.
about football.
Can't stand it. So don't quiz me on anything. But no, we all watch a football match, right? I don't know, 20, 30,000 people or whatever. And that means is once you finish that game, there's 20 or 30,000, however many people were there, perspective of that game.
We were speaking about this up Snowdon, weren't we?
Yeah. But that thought, it's just one of those things that that's how you change your mind on shit, right? Because it's like, look, we all have our own ways of looking at things. We all have our own ways of how we see right and wrong and everything else. And it's just accepting. I think this is a big thing that I went through is just accepting that we're all different.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? Because I'm very like, I'm the type of person that will lock onto something and that's what I'm going to do. And I used to be like, this is the right way of doing it because that's what I've decided to do. When actually it's like, everyone does things different and they do it their own way.
Do you know, that leads me to, I wouldn't say it's one of my biggest life challenges right now because that sounds massively dramatic. But what I'm saying is where you and I have gone on like a bit of a journey in whichever aspects to where we are now, where I think the description would be open-minded, right? Quite open-minded, not in that way.
I mean, depends what the offer is.
Yeah. But in terms of open-minded, and then you have a conversation with somebody and you're being quite open to their opinion, but they're just like, bam, like your opinion is irrelevant. Yeah. I really struggle with that because I'm so far removed from 99.9% of the time, so far removed from being closed-minded and not hearing somebody's opinion, that when somebody is unwilling to listen to my opinion, I feel challenged by it. Do you get that?
No, 100%. It's like it's hard to not go defensive over that because actually it's like but again, that's that whole perspective thing, right? We all have different lives and we've all seen different things, done different things and everything else. So who are you to tell me how I see it?
Yeah. Yeah, it's strange, isn't it?
It's but at the same time, but I used to be quite like that, and that's what I've developed from, because I used to be quite like that, because I think, I don't know, the way I look at it is I didn't really have much growing up, right? We weren't in that position where, I mean, you hear all the time people like have their cars bought for them, they have all sorts of different things, and you know what? If parents can do that, amazing, and I want to be able to do that for my children. So it's not like I don't agree with it, but we didn't have that. So then, because I didn't have much, everything I decided to have was all off my own back.
Yeah.
Everything I wanted was all off my own back. I didn't, it's nothing about my parents, but they didn't guide me because they didn't know how to guide. Do you know what I'm trying to say? So
they only knew what they knew.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? So everything was off my own back, and so anything I ever had, and I locked onto, I was like, well, I'm doing this because of me. Do you know what I'm trying to say? And as a young man, young brain, you don't know how to deal with other people. So actually, I was always that person that was like, this is how you do things, and this is how I'm going to... Do you know what I'm saying? Like, but again, it's something I've grown from, because it's not the way to be if you want to venture into this big wide world.
No, for sure. And I think as well, the other thing that you find challenging, and I'm sure you've had the same as well, is like when your own family members are like that, and you go on that kind of... It sounds a bit wanky, but when like you go on that journey of change or journey of discovery, self-improvement, whichever way you want to describe it, but within that journey, there's times where you will change your opinion and realize, oh fuck, like I've had this opinion for 20 years.
Yeah.
And it's like,
and why has it changed now?
Absolute bollocks. Yeah. But then you see some people that could be your best mates. It could be members of your family, that no matter what you do, no matter what you evidence, no matter like the results you will bring, they will get like just remain stuck in those places, and it's really hard, I think, and I've found when you talk about the success that you feel that you've had, your perspective is that you're giving that perspective you feel you've had, and then seeing people stuck to not come across like you're being patronising when you're talking about it, right?
Yeah. No, I agree. Yeah. But at the same time, it's trying to make sure that you then stick to your path, right? Because again, we all think that people want what we've got sometimes, I think.
Yes, that's very true. Yeah,
do you know what I'm saying? Like, but again, that's that perspective thing. And but I always say this as well. It's like if we both got told by someone to draw a picture, we would crack away, draw this picture. I don't know how good your drawing is. All right.
Not great. Yeah.
So maybe yours would just look shit anyway. No.
Yeah, I fucking would. Yeah.
No, but you know what I'm saying? Like we draw this picture and we show each other, and it's completely different.
Yeah.
That's because you took it in how you took it, and I took it in how we also projected it how we projected.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? So when you think about it like that, but when you're going through life and people talk about what they want, you think you know what they want sometimes because what you've heard them say. And do you know what I mean? So then it's like people try and guide people when actually this is why it's so, for me, it's so powerful and important to invest into different minds. Do you know what I mean? Like listen to different people, look into different ways of seeing things, learn new methods, learn new protocols of how to challenge yourself.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm trying to say? Because eventually you will then find your path.
Yeah, it's so true, because even if you look at our circle and then somebody outside of our circle, like people like Paul Mort will say, whatever you if you're not happy, you got like action is the only answer, and chase your dreams by taking action upon them. And then on the flip side, Mark Manson, one of the most well-established authors and self-development minds, I would say, in the 21st century, he'll say to you, actually, like when you think about the big picture, do you want to take on the responsibility of owning your own business? Do you want to take on the stress of leaving your job to fucking have no income and go and do that? And actually, like if you're really fixated on one thing, one opinion, you can become quite blindsided by how difficult something is. Yeah. And again, when you like this perception is obviously the key word of today's episode so far, but the perception of somebody else's opinion who's just as well established, listened to by millions and read by millions of people, going, it's okay actually to have a bit of a like average life at times. Yeah. It's actually quite nice because you see somebody like two people that are insanely successful, have influenced millions of people in a really positive way, come together with two different opinions, right. and they're both right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's insane.
But then it's about understanding how the individual puts it to them. Do you know what I'm saying? But that goes on the individual's characteristics and development and everything, doesn't it? Because let's be honest, I'm the sort of person, if you told me to go and get a 9-to-5 job and stuff, I'd probably end up killing myself. Like straight up. Like, that sounds extreme, right? But I would get that depressed and that low that I would literally question my life every single day.
I had I didn't mean to butt in then. It's just like we're on one today. I took my mum to watch Aladdin on Friday night.
Yeah.
And she worries about me because not worries, that may be the wrong word. Yeah, no, fuck it, we'll go with worries about me because she thinks I'm overly fixated on like my training and these things that I do to push myself and stuff. And she's like, I just want to know that you're all right. I was like, Mum, like I do these things because I fucking love them. Like
not because I'm running away from something.
Yeah. Like I literally love them. If I and I think I explained if I was to stop training completely for 2 weeks, I'd feel like you were describing going back into a 9-to-5 job.
Yeah,
I just feel and again, when you like from an individual's perspective, you have to work out what your crux is. I think like yours is business, and this was the question I was going to say to you is like, could you ever imagine? And this is where I'm at now. Like when you listen to those two opinions of Paul going after something and Mark Manson going, oh, it's okay to have parts of your life that are average. I'm willing to accept that part, but also I couldn't live at all without chasing something.
The drive.
Now.
Yeah, 100%. You see, my problem is there, and I kick myself for it, and I still do it now, and I think I always do it all my life, but I'm just trying to manage it better as I go on, is that I do too much of this side. Do you know what I mean? I do too much of the extreme, too much of the what's next, too much of the I can manage more plates. Do you know what I'm trying to say? Like, the thing is, I have massive drive and belief, which is great, but it also can stumble you sometimes because you then take on too much. And the story of my life is taking on too much.
Right.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I always, I've got ADHD, but the traits of what I've suffered with all my life, I've never realised how heavily they are based around actually ADHD traits. Do you know what I'm saying? And then I realised how much I've suffered, and it's good to know these things, but then it's really hard to not do them.
What do you think the biggest trait of ADHD is that's like given you that struggle or challenge in your life?
It's just being so hooked into something really quick.
Yeah.
Like, I'm the sort of person, right, and there's loads of things you could say about this, but me and Sarah have spoke about this in depth before, but I'm the sort of person that if you rang me, because I know you and I like you, you rang me and you needed me, I'll be there, right? But I'm not necessarily going to talk to you every day.
Yeah.
And but always know that I'm still there. Do you know what I'm trying to say? And this is something I've learned about myself over the years. And there's lots of different things, like when I'm focused on something and like if I've decided I'm going to do it, there's no point in somebody telling me to not.
A little bit fixated.
Yeah, but I get obsessed. But I know I do, and the thing is, obsessed can sound like a horrible word sometimes, and whatever. But I get obsessed. It's like this podcast room. I said I was going to do it 1 week, and then the week after, I got it complete.
It was done.
But you know what I mean? Yeah. Those things are good, but then obviously the flip side is, and it's funny, but also obviously frustrating for her. But that's where Sarah gets pissed off with me.
Sarah's your other half, right?
Yeah. But she gets pissed off with me in that respect because she knows that once I've said something, then that's it. Then I'm doing it. Do you know what I'm saying? But it's something that, and it's so weird to say it out loud because it's like, well, then stop doing it if you know it. But trying to stop doing that. Do you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, because you're never not gonna, like you just said, this is the part of your life that like gives you that drive, gives you that fire.
It's got me so far.
Yeah.
Do you know, like I said when I went in strongman, we were saying earlier on, when I decided I wanted to go in strongman and I said I was going to Worlds the first year, fucking loads of people laughed at me, and I laughed at me. But I was like, but I've said I'm going to do it, so I'm going to do it. And then I went down the route that gets you to that, and I made it to Worlds. I came 9th. Do you know what I mean? I even, like, the third day is, like, if you get to the third day, that's fucking good, because that's the top 10.
Yeah. And
I didn't think I was going to get to the third day anyway, but then I made it to the third day, and I was fucking dying, because it was, like, a whole new thing for me. But, yeah, and then, but you know that whole, it's just that commitment, but it works so well in so many aspects, but then you just have to be careful, and you have to be aware of what it isn't good in. Do you know what I'm trying to say? And this is, you know, I'm very open and honest about it. When I first left the army, I took loads of drugs, right? I was in a really, really bad place. I took loads of drugs. I was drinking all the time. I was a very angry person. You know, I did some time inside because I was a dick. And it's all because I was driven by this anger and obsessive hit that I wanted. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And because of that, again, but that's that trait that I have about being obsessive about things. If I do something, I'll do it to the extreme. You know, again, they're funny things, but they're also really frustrating for me to repeat. But it's like if we go out around town, I'll be the last person in the town.
What, as in, like, you'll
Last
be
person
out?
out.
Yeah.
The clubs are finished, and I'm fucking looking around for a club that's open. Do you know what I mean? The thing is, it is funny, but it's also it hurts me. Hurts me. I don't know if that's the right word, but do you know what I'm saying? It fucking grates at me that I'm like that. But it's like it's something I can't control. You know. But again, it's learning how you are over the years, isn't it? And it's something that I used to struggle with, but now I understand it. I'm more at ease with it, and I'm able to manage it as opposed to stop it.
Yeah. In terms of, I'm going to ask you one question on this and one question only. It sounds like Tubes from Soccer AM back in the day. That you won't get that reference. One question only is what you used to say.
Right.
Prison.
Yeah.
Shit place, obviously.
Yeah.
What would have been your biggest lesson from going down, spending time inside and then coming out the other way?
What would be my biggest
lesson, biggest takeaway, like biggest thing you learned about yourself, whatever?
That there's just better things to be doing with yourself rather than letting it get that far. You know, the thing is, it's really, really shit to say this, but I witnessed this, and I also, not long ago, watched something on TV that reminded me of this. Prison is the right place for some people, and that is a real fucking sad thing to say.
That is
because it's not the right place for anybody.
As in, like, it's the right place for them because they're literally, they shouldn't be around fucking.
Yeah, but it's as if that's what they're born for, which is ridiculous. Because of course they're not born to live it. But you know what I'm trying to say? Like, what I'm trying to say there is, you know, you get some people that are gang related. And,
Do
you know that they just love that life? They can't do any other life than that life. You could use it with the army. The army, some people are army through and through, and they love that life. They can't do any other life. Do you know what I'm trying to say? And again, prison is so shit and so sad to say, but there's some people that is their life.
And it's, you could even flip that to, you know, the 9 to 5 life that you said you couldn't do.
Yeah.
People fucking
love
it,
that
don't
life.
they?
Yeah. They live for it because Friday afternoon they then go out and But yeah, and the thing is, it sounds quite simple when we put it like that, to be fair. But the point is, it's sad, and it shouldn't be somebody that is. So when you know, like when I first went into that environment, I was like, shit, this is fucking like rife. It's just literally like every man for themselves. There's cliques, there's gangs, there's this, that, and the other, and it's like, whoa, this is fucking literally what you think it is. Do you know but what you have to do there, and this is the shit part, and what I witnessed is, you can't be a pushover, because if you're a pushover, you're gonna get pushed over. But I also don't want to be one of them. Do you know what I'm saying? Like literally, so when I got remanded, the first thing that happened to me, and it's a genuine thing, you know, obviously a golf ball in a sock, golf ball, a cue ball.
Yeah.
Obviously, you see that on movies and shit. Some guy come up with a frozen apple in a sock and fucking smash me over the head with it. But you know that sort of shit. It's like you think that's actually like a bit TV based, but yeah,
it's true.
But that's that stuff where it's like it just reminds you that you're in that type of place, you know, and. Yeah, but I mean, luckily I got the upper hand on him as well, so and I finished the fight. But you know, with those situations, it makes you go, "Fuck, is this where I'm going now?" Because again, me being completely honest with myself, that's the type of person I could be if I'm not careful.
Get hooked, get hooked to
but
that.
Then I'll be like, this is the next path for me. This is what I need to do next, and I'm going to make it to the top of that. Do you know what I'm saying? And that's actually that scares me now even to say that, because you put me in there, I'll be like, I'll fucking make it to the top of that chain.
Yeah.
But I don't want to do that.
No.
Do you know what I'm saying? It's just that obsessiveness, and I will admit, the ego.
Yeah, of course.
It has to be.
Everybody's got one, right?
Yeah. It's just taming it and making sure you're not having it too much.
Yeah. So that lifestyle, like you see it even with the. I don't know if you've seen the most. I don't know if you watch it, but it was like 24 hours in police custody, but it was horrendous.
I think that's one of the most recent ones.
It was like
I think that's one of the ones I've watched recently.
6 lads got arrested for murdering somebody. They basically killed the wrong person, and it was all gang related crime.
Yeah.
And they were going out to look for this other gang, and the guy who committed the murder was in the police interview room. He was bullshitting out of his fucking eyeballs, but he basically said, I don't want to be part of this life anymore. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that. Like, but didn't admit to doing the crime, and it was him that did it. But like, you just see you see that, and like you say, it's all of that stuff that you see on TV. I don't know if you've seen Top Boy. Great.
Yes, and not watch that
Yeah,
longer, yeah.
but like you, even in that, there's like the lads, the young boys in that, they like, and they portray, the TV show was brilliant at portraying. Actually, they don't really want to do it, but the money, the lifestyle, the cars,
to it.
it's all, and you can see how it can become like completely and utterly obsessive, I guess, and how you could say, "Oh, I'll just do this one last job or whatever and get the money and walk away." But
and then you go, "That was a good payout. Let me do it again."
Yeah, exactly.
Thing
right.
is, I like, again, it's something I said to you earlier on. I'm not massively proud of this, but I got into some bits similar to that. You know, where people are selling drugs and things like that, and I'm like, "Oh, I could make some money doing that." Do you know, it's that, again, it's that hustle, that. Do you know what I'm trying to say? That, in all fairness, I've been an entrepreneur since I was a baby.
Yeah.
That's how I look at it, right? Because I've always had that. It's like when I was at school, I used to sell. Can you remember them? Are they called ice watches? Can you remember the ice watch?
No, mate. You're a bit older than me. Remember?
Shit, yeah, fair one. Well, do you remember do you know what net curtains are?
Yeah, of course.
Oh right, okay. I asked someone the other day. I was talking about net curtains. I was like, oh no, that's probably like more of an '80s thing.
I do know what a net curtain is. Unfortunately, I know what a net curtain is. Yeah.
But ice watch, yeah, it was like a rubber. You will search it up, right? Stick it on the screen. Stick it on the screen at some point.
Yeah, I'll have to.
But I was selling them at school, and I was literally making loads of money doing that, and I just love that sort of hustle, and when you're in that mind, that's it. Yeah, that's it.
Nice.
But the rubber ones, they were like I don't know, 80 quid or something. I'll sell them for like 20 quid or.
Oh yeah.
You know, but I used to, but my point is there, it's just that hustle. It's that. Do you know what I'm trying to say? That mentality of like just what's next, and it's a good part of people, but it also could be a bad thing if you direct it into the wrong way.
I think as well, though, one thing that's important for people to realise, like when they hear me talking about like my fitness journey or even the journey that I'm going on with the podcast or building my coaching business now, and the same for you as well, is that I don't get obsessed with my outcome at the end. Like that's not really what I'm focused on. It's the
journey.
Tasks. Yeah. And again, that can sound a bit hippy dippy, the journey in the middle, but because one thing that I've said is that when I hit my ultra marathon, I thought that was going to be the greatest fitness event I'll ever do. Yeah. But I now know that. What? Well,
once you've done it, how did you feel?
Well, I got the biggest reality check on that was I got halfway and I knew that I was going to complete it.
So then did you mentally sort of give up and be like, this is too easy?
It was just one of them moments of like, I don't want to sound, again, too hippy dippy or like mindset fucking police, but it genuinely did prove that whatever you put your mind to and work for, you could achieve.
Yeah.
And especially physically, because I think there's I have my own beliefs around the business and money and whatever that are still there to be overcome. But that was the proof to me that like 23 stone Harry, which we spoke about on the mountain, would never have ever even thought.
Yeah. Done, yeah.
And I was at that peak. Well, probably so I'm fitter now than I was then, actually, all round. But I got halfway through that race and was like, I'm literally fine.
Yeah.
I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
And it was just such a fucking really weird thing. But that journey to get to that point of that moment was unreal. Like training with my cousin, going out 3 times a week, doing trail runs, seeing different parts of the south of England, and obviously training distances that I'd never thought I'd fucking achieve. And then you think about like on the strength side, which you're fully aware of. How many fucking hilarious gym sessions must have you have had on your journey to
and with the types of people you haven't with?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it's that's addictive, not the end result, and not even with money. Like if I've done all right with like the with like somebody downloads on a podcast. Like, yeah, of course you go, oh, that's cool. But then you're already thinking about the next one. Like, who am I going to get in next? Who am I going to speak to next? Blah, blah, blah. And there's that saying, I don't know who it is. It's not, but it's if you can't be happy with a cup of coffee, you're not going to be happy with your fucking super yacht. You know what I mean?
No, I've not heard it, but I get it though.
So like, and I would comfortably say that like having a cup of coffee by the side of the beach by the side of the beach on the beach after I completed a half marathon for the first time gave me the same satisfaction as completing the ultra marathon. You know, I think
Yeah.
you have to be realistic to say that the feeling of like success doesn't get any bigger.
No.
But
it's just the direction you point it.
100%, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's where, if we speak about like maybe Dean, how many years ago was it when you came out of prison or went into prison?
Yeah, fucking God knows. See, that's one thing I'm really shit with timelines.
Yeah, fine. Yeah. So
yeah.
in terms of that, like, would you have said that you had a direction that you were like really fucking willing to go on the journey to achieve, and was your turning point kind of putting your focus and energy onto something that actually was a bit more productive to your life and putting the energy into it?
Yeah, do you know what I always say? Someone asked me this on a podcast a while ago, and I don't want it to sound like fluke because it wasn't. I've always had that obsessive directional power that I'm always pursuing something. But here's something really funny, actually. I'm like a sperm.
Here we go.
Right?
Yeah.
There's loads of it, but he doesn't know where he's going.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure you know about sperm. Sometimes you can get non-swimmers and shit swimmers.
Yeah.
You know, they actually call it like, I don't want to say the wrong thing here and really offend people, but they call it something that's actually like really quite harsh. But basically, they're fucking like going around in circles, right? Your sperm's not knowing where it's going.
Yeah.
So anyway, get the sperm out of your head a minute. That was nothing to do with where I was going. Now you're just thinking of me jizzing on your chest.
And it's spinning around in the fucking...
I don't know where I'm going. I don't know.
Yeah.
So confused. But yeah, do you know, I always had that drive. I was going somewhere, but I just wasn't clear on where I was going. So when I had, like, there was no turning point for me. Do you know what I'm saying? There was no moment where I thought, now things are getting better. I've never had that.
Really?
Yeah, I'm still chasing it.
Mate, that's fucking...
But this is, do you know what I'm trying to say? And the thing is, I'm saying that because when I say that out loud, it makes me, I shock myself sometimes, but I don't, it's okay. Because
it is, yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like recently, I mean, this year, I've changed my business model. I think we spoke about it anyway, but I started Line Mind X, right? Because I come out of strongman, I come out of coaching strongman, and I wanted to do personal development. Right, I just wanted to go because you know what, working on your mind has saved my life, right, and it saved many people's lives. The amount of messages I get from people just going, because I just share shit all the time. I mean, I don't share as much as I used to on personal development at the minute because it's heavily focused around business. But I used to share so much, and the amount of messages I used to get from people saying, "Oh, I've been watching your stuff for so long, and you know, I just want you to know how much of an impact you've made," and you know, just anything random like that. And it's just like, you know what, I love this shit.
Yeah.
I never forget, and I've said this before on the podcast, but I remember a guy that was going through cancer and for however many months and stuff, and he'd gone through all of his cancer and come out the other side, and he messaged me this fucking essay, and I was like, Jesus Christ, who's this and what's he complaining about?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I thought it was
what have I done?
Well,
yeah.
No, I thought it was like shit. What have I done?
Isn't it amazing how your brain does that though? Yeah.
It is though, isn't it? But anyway, so and I read it, and I was fucking in tears, man, because he was telling me like all the. Do you know? But anyway, I call these ghost followers. They're following you. You don't know they're following
100%,
you.
100%, man.
And you're changing their life. And actually, that's what keeps me posting shit. Do you know what I'm saying? And you know what? For business, you could look at this in marketing for business as well, right? Keep posting because you don't know when someone's going to buy it.
100%.
Do you know what I'm saying? And, you know, we know this anyway, but, you know, sometimes when you're like, fuck, I'm not getting traction, I'm not getting engagement, I'm not getting any leads, it doesn't matter. Keep fucking showing up. Because the more you fine tune what you're doing, it's gonna pop at the end.
I'd love to somehow get some kind of app that told me exactly out of my followers who is listening to the pod, because I have.
Oh God,
like,
but you know what, that would break the game, wouldn't it?
Oh my God, yeah, it would be a cheat, wouldn't it? But free, like I'd know maybe 3 comments or 3 people that I can see have interacted with a podcast a week, right? Which sounds ridiculous, but obviously 100 to 200 downloads on average, and then. Out of those 197 people, I don't know who they are. Yeah.
Could be your mum was told your auntie and
your
cousin, and just watch 4 seconds.
I can tell you something. My mum she wouldn't give a shit what I speak about. Like, not in terms of like she cares obviously what I do, but it just wouldn't interest her. She like and in terms she does, but maybe a little bit, yeah. But when I speak about those people who love that. Like the 9 to 5 life, like she's never thought any different of it.
Yeah.
It's always been something that she worked for one company for 30 years and then is now working for another company. And honestly, mate, it's what all she talks about. And sometimes I have to reality check myself. I'm like, fuck, here she goes again talking about work. But actually, that's just me.
It's ingrained.
When but then that's me talking about self-development and coaching, right?
Yeah.
Like she must go, here he goes again, fucking talking about like what he's doing and all that kind of stuff. And it's just, it's amazing, really.
Without making a loop on what we said earlier on, but this is why it's so fucking important that you just do you.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like, because, I used to have this, it's quite funny because obviously all the stuff I suffered through, and I'll say suffer because I did, in strongman.
It's okay to,
Yeah, but I suffered in strongman, hurting my fucking body, eating too much, not eating enough, doing crazy water cuts, training when I was fucking like injured. Do you know what I mean? All the stuff you do because you do it because you're obsessed on getting to the next competition, right? You do all this, and then you go and win something, and you fucking like feel on top of the world. Then the next day you feel like you're the worst person, and because you just get them blues, and it's just like,
my God,
do you know what I'm saying? But it's like anything, any high, we get a low afterwards, and if you're not ready for that low, you're not ready for it. But then you walk past someone in the street, and they don't give a fuck who you are.
No.
And do you know what? I'm not saying that people should know who I am, but my point is, in one world you're something, in another world you are zero.
Yeah.
Like not even anything. Do you know what I'm trying to say?
1,000,000%, yeah.
So just that's one of those things, and this is actually a lesson that I learned for myself is. You are who you want to be, so continue being that person. Do you know what I'm saying?
And if you're not,
change it.
Fucking come on, yeah.
Yeah, but don't expect everyone else to feel and see what you feel and see. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, because when I sit with my nan, and I've always all my life just took the piss out of my nan. Cause I always try and do silly shit to her and make her fall for it. I'll tell you some stories in a minute if you want. But I sit with her. She doesn't give a fuck if I've just been speaking to Eddie Hall.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? If she seen Eddie Hall, she'd probably go, he's a bit overweight, isn't
big
he?
lad, isn't he?
Oh, he needs to calm his diet down or something. Do you know what I'm saying, though? But this is that thing again where it's just like, look, you do you, I do me, and just keep doing that thing that keeps you on your track of where you want to go, because that is what makes you happy. And that's where it brings me into... Sarah's dad would hate this if he heard this, because I've often said this, but Sarah's dad's they're Italian, right? Very old school Italian, and they do their way with things, right? It's quite an old school thing. Our parents do their way with their things, but when Sarah first set up her property business, she was scared to tell her dad because of what he would say was wrong with it. Do you know what I'm saying? And obviously I pushed her to say stuff, because like, come on, man, like, be proud of it, own it. And, and as much as she is proud of it, and she is owning it, and she's fucking doing amazing what she's doing, it took her so long to even get to grips with that, because that's what she'd been brought up to. Do you know what I'm saying? And she'd been ingrained to think that was risky. You don't do things like that. Do you know what I'm saying?
My God,
you need to just get a job. You need to just have a secure income. And do you know, again, that's a perfect example, isn't it, of that whole, like, that's how you think, that's how I think, and it's okay.
Yeah. And I think
they shouldn't influence each other.
Yeah, I completely agree with this. I kind of have this I've had this same thought process when it comes to my coaching business as well, my mum and dad, because they don't get why. But one thing that I will say through experience is my thoughts about what I thought they were going to say about it were completely fucking different.
That's a learn.
Pardon?
That's a learn, isn't it?
Yeah, well, exactly. So the perception thing again, the perception of what I thought they were going to say, even though they had their own upbringing, and it was a safe upbringing. The 9-to-5 job was the thing that was expected, and the thing that
it worked.
Of course. I
can't complain.
Yeah, great upbringing. Like, they're obviously not together now, but they've both got their houses, and all of those dreams that era had, they've achieved, right? And now I think we're in a bit of a different world. We won't go into that too much, but we're in a bit of a different world, and one thing the people that care about you the most, no matter whether you're saying black and they're saying white, will always look like they will always support you
in your direction,
in the direction you're going to go in, and that may come in different ways, but there's always some support there. And I think, like, again, I'm glad you've mentioned that, the opinion of other people. We're all guilty of thinking about it in some ways, but it just depends how much you're thinking about it, because like you say, like, being yourself, is, I think, one of the biggest superpower. Like yourself, myself, individually, is probably one of the biggest superpowers in life. And actually, like when I started the pod, if I think about that for an example, I did it anyway, but I was bogged down on what are people going to think. Especially when I started speaking about the mindset stuff, and the amount of times I've had a reel of me talking on my own, not even with a guest, just my own opinion on mental health or on my fitness journey or whatever, and I'm like, fucking hell, like somebody's going to think this, but actually that's just my own thought, right? But I have to be myself. I believe what I'm talking about, so I have to share it, and even if that thing positively impacts one person, I think that for me is me doing my job on a day. But where I'm going with this is we get held back by our own thoughts, and I think Peter Sage calls it goop, good opinion of other people.
It's
actually,
not how you say that,
but it's actually like, who gives a fuck? It is literally only goop, and like if you go more into that, they're more interested in what they're doing than what
of course. Doing. So they're not going to fight that anyway, because it was only a comment.
Yeah, exactly.
But that goes down to the, not just homing on anyone individually, but it's like if anyone ever says to you, "Oh, you don't want to do that," fucking don't you?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's a bit like, why?
Why?
Like when you think about it, just think about that for a minute. Why? Who asked you for your opinion first? And also, if you are then that person that's absorbing their opinion, then starts thinking different, by all means analyze it, because if you respect them, maybe there is something good there.
Yeah.
But it's a little bit like, oh, fucking really?
Yeah. Well, and also,
do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it goes into that whole, would you want their opinion on that thing anyway?
No, yeah. And let's be honest, most people, unless they're literally people in the same industry, right? Most people that are surrounding you aren't in your industry, don't know what you know. Do you know what I'm trying to say?
Mate, yeah.
And again, everyone can think this. Anyone that's thinking, listening to this podcast now, I'm sure you can think of a person right now that has given you an opinion recently that is not in your sector, that has told you something in your sector.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And it's just bizarre, because it's just like, it's so far from what you need. I mean, obviously, just, humouring the things like this. But I never forget when I was, when I really got into training when I was young. I was wanting to do bodybuilding because you're just training like Arnie, thinking like, that's where I'm going. And I was, I got in great shape. I remember I've got photos looking back, and I was in the best shape I'd ever been at this point. And I was like, yeah, that's fucking great shape. My mum said to me, "You're looking really skinny." If she had understood like how insanely powerful that was, she would have known that I would have felt like breaking a nose. Do you know what I'm saying though? Because I've just dieted. I've just really trained fucking hard for 12 weeks. I did a photo shoot at the end of it, and you just told me I look skinny.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy, isn't it?
But again, that's one of the things. People, they don't know that what they're saying and what they're meaning by that. But my point is, that is your opinion versus the reality of actually what it is that I've done. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So. But again, like, you just have to learn to.
In your head, it was impressive, right?
Fucking right, it was.
And in her head, she was like,
"Oh, you're skinny." Do you know what I'm saying? Like, it's like you just literally fucking ripped my balls off and like stamped on them and posted them through someone's letterbox.
Oh, mate.
But but again, that's that thing, isn't it? Like, it's all about like what doing what you want to do, and it's like you just have to learn to be resilient with that stuff and be like, cool, thanks for your comment. But here's my focus still.
Yeah.
And just to throw something in there if it helps people to think like this, but how do you do that? Is a great question. Yeah. You get clear on your vision.
For sure.
Do you know what I'm saying? Because no matter what, and this is what we spoke about earlier on actually, about locking onto something. Like, if you lock onto something and you know it's the thing that you want, you have more strength to complete that, regardless of what's thrown at you. But if you're locking onto something that you don't necessarily want, you won't be as strong.
Yes.
So if anyone's, I don't know, listening to this, grinding the bollocks away and doing stuff, and then feeling like getting knocked off, question what you're going for. Because if you're going for the right thing, you won't feel weak at any point. You'll just be tested.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that can link in with like the whole chat about being on purpose. People think people can be totally and utterly not motivated, that's the wrong word. People can be work obsessed and task obsessed but still feel shit even though they're busy all the time. That's when, as coaches, you'd say, well, actually, do you really care about all of this effort for
Yeah.
this one thing that you're
For the
working
outcome that
towards
you're
right
getting.
now?
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
if the answer's no, it's a really good opportunity to look within and find out what's missing. Like, what part of your life are you completely ignoring to not get that satisfactory or satisfied, content feeling at the end of completing a task? Because as soon as you start adding them in, I think life becomes a different ball game.
Yeah. But that's where people often will want that grass is greener feeling, right?
Yeah, true. Yeah.
I mean, there's one thing that you look at your journey. What were you, 23, 24 stone?
20, yeah, just over 23. Yeah.
And you know, when you think about that journey is something you could never go, it's not greener, because it fucking is greener.
Yeah, oh yeah,
Do you
for
know,
sure.
you know that, right? You've gone through that, and look at you now, like I mean, you showed me a photo, didn't you, of you before, but have you done that? Have you set that challenge yet?
Do you know what? Mate, I'll tell you what, that is that's set in stone, something in my head. It's going to be done.
I want to be there.
Yeah.
If I can support in any way or something you do, yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be, like, maybe we'll talk about it on, oh, fuck it, we'll talk about it now. The challenge is potentially Harry doing something as old Harry, right? So as 23 stone, so I'll have to carry around, I think I worked out, if I carried it around, it's 37 kg. So
you need to put 37 kg on, to be back to old you.
To where I was.
And what did we say? You got to do something like a...
Well, a marathon. You
was
said,
it a marathon?
can old Harry run a marathon? But I'm thinking about tying it in with my, one of my passions, and going from the football stadium local to me, so Hewish Park, which is where I live in Yeovil, to Stamford Bridge, and seeing if there's a route that I can do for charity.
As a run, or just get there?
Well, I think it would
just
be...
get there.
Yeah. Like, if I need to stop 2 or 3, 4 times on the way, hotels or 10, fuck it, whatever, then do it. Yeah, have a support team. It'll suck, but I think it's just something that you've definitely hit a good nerve when you suggested that. It was sound.
So it would just be a cool, mate. I think it'd be awesome as a business thing as well for you, just to be like, this is why I'm doing it. It's got such a meaning behind it. Yeah, do you know what I'm saying? And
I think as well, like, I want to wrap things up with you in a second, but I think when I do think about that version of Harry, though, I could never really envisage where, like, what I am today. You know what I mean? Like, I always knew that I
had a better self, but
didn't know what it was.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, it's really weird.
That's that unknown, though, isn't it? Like, you just didn't know what it was going to be like.
And when you said earlier about, like, did you have didn't really ever have like a light bulb moment, or you had an apple on the head but in the wrong way?
solid core.
Solid core. When I think about it, I don't think I've ever had that light bulb moment, because I'm still addicted to the journey, whatever that is. Yeah. But my light bulb moment was getting on the journey. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yeah. No, 100%. Yeah. Committing to that new you,
change,
whatever it's going to be. Yeah. And as well, you don't need to know the outcome there, did you? You just knew there was a better life.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Anyway, back to you.
But you know what? I'm just going to say, you know what? I could probably use that for mine as a better explanation. Because for me, again, I didn't have a light bulb moment. I just knew there was a better life.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I just knew there was... It's like everything I've ever been through as a child, as a young adult, as an adult, blah, blah, blah. I always make sure my kids learn from my mistakes. Yeah, they don't need to know my mistakes, but they don't know that I'm teaching them to not do what I did. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, oh yeah, for sure.
And then, but then on top of that, it's like, I want to make sure they've got a better life than me. They've got more things. Part of having more things is not being given everything, because I don't believe in giving your kids everything.
No, for sure.
Do you know what I'm saying?
And then learning their
We
own.
are guilty of buying them things too much sometimes, but that's just, it's hard to not sometimes.
Oh,
do you know what I'm saying?
Of course.
But yeah, I think that's the thing for me. It's like everything I've learned, I'm trying to package it together and project it for my future and my kids.
Yeah. It's, mate, life in general, just this unbelievable experience. Right, we've got to wrap things up with you now. I mean, I feel like this conversation could go on.
We've been a lot of different directions.
Yeah, luckily we're going to re-record, but I'm going to be the guest, right? But in terms of you, mate, there was one point I want to take you back to the podcast. You said that you've learnt to regulate this anger that is inside of you. What would be the thing or the things that have enabled you to do that?
The things that enabled me to do it. Honestly, I don't want it to sound too cheesy, but it's honestly speaking to people rather than being trapped in your own head. because
Amazing.
I have, and obviously again, like as we learn about ADHD, this is one of the things. But I have so many thoughts and things that go on in my head in a matter of minutes, let alone a day. Do you know what I'm saying? Though, so actually, it's like trying to manage all these things and know what discard and what's real and everything else. So, but talking to people and researching and understanding like why you think the way you think and learn. Do you know what I mean? Learning about the brain is so much more powerful than you think, rather than just seeing what you see.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So I think the main thing for me is like it's talking to people, talking to people to understand more about how you work, how we work as human, but also then like focusing on things that you try and that you get benefit from. So for example, NLP, like I do a lot of that type of stuff, and I enjoy that, and I get a lot from it. Do you know what I'm trying to say? So it's learning like traits and learning theories and practices like that help you understand more about yourself, rather than feeling like it's okay, I just am the way I am.
Yeah,
does that make sense? Because a lot of people just go, oh, I'm just who I am, and that's my identity, and blah blah. It's like, but we can create who we are.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
It's about directing your energy into the better things, you know, and then obviously just relentlessly look for where you belong in life.
Amazing.
You know, which is mine. I feel like mine's changed quite a lot, and it will change again going into the future. But it is what it is, right?
Yeah, for sure. I don't think you're ever the complete finished article. Yeah. I think it's amazing as well, and I think when you potentially connection has been a big thing for you, and again that can sound like a cheesy word, especially for like I'm gonna describe you probably not as you'd want me to describe you now, but fucking complete alpha male character, right? And you said that like
I'm a soft.
but then wait, like now as I've got to know you, on the outside, mate, like you are, you know, you said earlier, like sometimes you feel like people maybe a bit fearful of like your like what you've spoke about from your past and stuff, but actually like when you dive a bit deeper, like the more you've like learnt to connect with your outside and open up to that outside world, the more actually you've been able to develop. Is that another thing that's maybe, without putting words in your mouth, another thing that's like enabled you
I agree,
to...
Do you know what though? I'll open into a couple of things there that I think I've not spoke about for quite some time. When I was young, I used to have a very, like as I said earlier on, like, I used to fight a lot and all that sort of stuff. I didn't, look back and I regret it and stuff, but it was just that sort of like fight because I didn't want to get beat up sort of thing in my area, and it become part of my life as where I was always defensive in that respect. There was this one time that two guys, quite well-known hard lads around Loughborough, we never seen eye to eye with these guys. There was me and those two, so I was outnumbered and was talking and stuff, and one of them said to me, he must have just been in a good mood, but he says, you know what, you always look angry. And I was like, and genuinely, that was a penny drop moment, because me and him didn't get on, and there was another lad that was with him that I also didn't get on with. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, it was always like those two against me sort of thing. And I was outnumbered, I was on my own, but I was like, whatever. I was going from one pub to another pub, I was meeting some guys. But I spoke to him, I was like, what do you mean by that? And I was like, it's really interesting that you say that. And he was like, you just always look like your eyebrows are always down and you never smile. I was like, and do you know what? From that day onwards, I realised that was actually true about me. And I think it's because, and I think I've spoke to therapists and we've looked into this a lot and stuff, but it's simply because I was always thinking things, and I've always held on to thoughts rather than expressing externally. And my face told the story. Yeah. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. You somebody that, like, without realising it, always kind of wore your emotions and feelings on your sleeve.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. That is literally it. And because of that, from that day forward, I didn't change. Obviously, it wasn't an ability to just go, I'm going to smile every day.
The next day, hey,
he's on drugs. But from then, I actually it hit me. I was like, shit, you know what? You're right. And then I kept that thought process for a long time, because I was like, you know what, I don't smile. And then I ironically, going into random stuff here, I used to grind my teeth when I was young. Yeah, so it was probably another thing where I'm just like overthinking things and just grind away. And I ground my teeth down. And I didn't like my teeth, so I used to talk out this side of my mouth. It's mad. If you go back on my Facebook, that'd be quite some time ago. But I used to talk on the side of my mouth like this. It's because these ones are okay. These ones were ground down.
Oh shit!
I then had a full set of teeth done. I'm actually having them done again soon because these are 10 years old now. But I then had a full set of teeth done, and that was another reason for me to smile. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so then I was like, right, I want to try and smile more, but it's just something that the reason I brought that story up is 'cause it's something that I've always done, where I've always been that angry looking person, but never actually understood and never realised until someone said.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah, but then I obviously I then wanted to try and change that because I was always, that's how I was always looking, but I never knew that. Do you see what I'm saying? It's weird.
And also interesting, like at the time, one of your rivals, I guess, like, or one of the people you did it. Yeah. And you learnt from it, which is insane, isn't it, really? Yeah. Okay, 2 more questions to wrap up the 100% podcast episode today. I like to ask this one. We've spoke about your journey, and it's insane, really, especially because if you'd never have told me any of your background when we met on Snowdon a couple of months ago, and like I'd have never have guessed it, because you're just such a sound, solid, grounded guy now. And
appreciate that.
You're welcome. And in terms of the habits, then, like, this goes into like the personal development thing. If you was to say that you do something on a regular, daily, weekly basis that keep you level-headed, grounded, focused, what are they? What are the 3 things that you couldn't not do anymore?
Some of these are quite new. I'm gonna try and roll them out smoothly for you.
Go on, boy.
One of them is to try, and I will say try. I don't like to say try, but I will use this on this context. But like, to try and have a calm head.
Nice.
So it goes without saying of explanation, obviously, but it's just that whole thing about just try and have some time in every day where you're just sitting with yourself.
Nice, yeah, nice.
Obviously, you could say that's meditation. You can call it what you want, right? But I struggle to meditate. But meditate's very extreme for me. I can't meditate because I'm then I'll set up a new business.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying though? So forced meditation becomes actually quite torturous. So actually, it's just having a bit of time where I'm just not bothered about anything else. I'm just chilling out.
Do you schedule that?
I mentally schedule it.
Nice.
Yeah, just because I just make sure that I've got to do that at some point today.
Yeah, nice.
Other than that, I'd say it's having a fitness goal.
Yeah, class.
You could probably say this is for most people, and I guess some people wouldn't say it's for everyone. But because of my background, and I've always had something, I lost myself when I came out of strongman, like quite deeply. And I had a period of time where I didn't want to train. It was horrible. I'd never witnessed it before. I didn't want to train, didn't care about training. And do you know what I mean? I went quite...
interesting.
For me, I felt like I went really downhill. So yeah, it's just having that thing where you're always focused on something. Like I'm doing Athex soon with Sarah and Mrs. We're doing a couples comp. It's more her thing than mine, but I'm doing it because it's something to lock on to.
Yeah, class, yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? And then, a third one, I would say plan. Yeah, just planning. Like planning your vision and planning where you're at and catching up with yourself to make sure you're on track. Like, again, me and Sarah, we had it this morning, like, but twice a week we'll sit down either here or in a coffee shop or somewhere, not at home. You know, and we'll sit down and just talk. It's a bit of time, like, personally for each other to listen to each other. But it's also time to just reflect on, right, what have we got this week? It could be childcare stuff. Do you know what I'm saying? Like this morning when we did here this much today, we've got this on that on this week. We need to get childcare, or we need to do this, or... Do you know what I'm trying to say? And then I'm asking her what her big challenges are. She told me, and she asked me, and you know, it's just that time to connect. I think that's something that's really powerful. Like we've planned together, and we attack together.
Yeah, nice, man.
You
Love
know,
it.
Just having that. I guess you'd call that into that accountability. That could be a mentor. You know? But I love to make it Sarah because it's something that we've learned with each other now to do really well.
She's learnt to live with the way your brain works, and you with her.
Yeah, nice. Without ending this on a deep one, I guess, although I'm going to say it, but we lost a baby a while ago, and we really disconnected, and it was something that broke us both in different ways. And because we all deal with things differently, I shut her out quite a lot, and I was like, we just need to carry on, whereas she was like, no, we need to stop and take a moment. Do you know what I mean? So I learned from her that I do need to stop and take a moment for her and for me. But then she also learned from me that I don't want to dwell on it. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I've lost a lot of people. I've lost a lot of friends. I've lost a lot of connections that I had before, whether it be the army or just generally people. And so for me, my way is to just move forward, which is not necessarily the right way. Do you know what I'm saying? But that hit us both hard. So now having a moment where we really connect and understand each other and talk and everything, that it makes a big difference.
Mate, I think that's such an amazing point to almost wrap up on as well. And I think the whole taking time, I think there's such a balance for both, right? And I know, like, without sounding completely on the fence, I think it's important to move forward in the right way when you have reflected on how you're both feeling and stuff. And yeah, I didn't know that, mate. And obviously, and it's amazing how you've overcome it and carried on with what you've done. The final question, as always on the 100% podcast, is what is the greatest bit of advice you've ever been given?
Ooh, it's a tough one, that is.
We got time.
Yeah, no, to be honest, I don't. Do you know what? I'm really not good at thinking on the spot like this because I don't remember things very well. So I'm going to try and cap it up to something that's...
Yeah. Something that's on the mind at the moment, maybe, or...
Yeah, I guess for me, it would just be... Yeah, do you know what? I'm gonna express something that I'm feeling at the moment. So it's not necessarily advice, but it's been advice from people over the years, and it's advice I give to people. That things aren't always as bad as they feel.
Go on, explain.
So whenever you're going through things in life, it's because you are so inside the bottle and you can't read the label of what's happening next. Do you know what I'm saying? Because the thing is, right, there is always something better. After every down, there's an up, right?
Oh, mate,
it's just the way the world goes. But also, after every up, there's a down. But if we try and stay on that middle line too much, you'll get bored. So we have to have the... Do you know what I'm saying? Like, you have to have the ups and downs. But the advice on what I'm trying to put out here is, regardless of where you're at and what you're going through now, suffering wise, or you know, we're talking suffering more than anything because that's what I'm trying to angle it to. Is that there's always something better coming. You've just got to keep doing the things. You've just got to listen to what's happening and keep doing the things that are moving you forward, and get rid of the things that are not. Do you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, mate, I completely get it, mate. What an unbelievable way to wrap up today's episode of the 100% podcast. Where can people come and find you if they want to come find out about more about your business, your gym, and all those kind of things?
Yeah, so OnlyFans / I'm not there. No, I'll put the OnlyFans link in there as well. I'm not on there.
I'll get 10%. Put Purdy 10 in for 10% off of Dean's OnlyFans, yeah.
10% off and it's free. How's that work?
Oh, sorry, yeah.
So, no, at Dean Maden official on Instagram. Dean Maden on everything else, really. And then I've got the podcast, Line Mind podcast on YouTube as well.
Amazing. If you have enjoyed today's episode, please go over to Apple Podcasts and Spotify and drop this show a 5-star review. You and I know how important that is for the algorithm. And if you're watching on YouTube, yo, what's going on? Below here, like and subscribe. It goes a long way. My teeth are falling out right now, aren't they? Yeah.
I'll get you some new ones.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, long way to helping the show out on here as well. I'll see you all here with a new episode every Friday. Take care.